Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive, where we uncover the power of nature for well-being.
Yeah, it's amazing how much research is showing just how beneficial nature can be.
We're looking at a research paper that focuses on incorporating nature into everyday life.
And a Psychology Today article that explores nature's impact on us holistically.
So are you ready to discover some practical tips for enhancing your life with nature's help?
Sounds like a great plan.
Awesome. Well, both of these sources we're looking at today almost present nature, like a prescription, a natural remedy for the stress we face every day.
And the research is definitely backing that up.
Right, it's becoming clearer and clearer that nature is a powerful tool. So let's start with stress, since that's something we all deal with.
Absolutely. I think we can all agree that modern life is pretty demanding.
Yeah, no kidding.
hmm
But what I found fascinating in that research paper was that just 20 minutes in nature can significantly lower cortisol levels.
It's incredible, isn't it? Just 20 minutes?
I know, right? That's less time than it takes to watch an episode of my favorite show.
Exactly. Think about it. Instead of zoning out in front of the TV.
A quick walk in the park during your lunch break could be way more effective.
And it's not just about immediate stress relief either.
Oh, that's right. Lower cortisol levels over time have all sorts of benefits.
Yeah, things like better sleep, a more positive mood, even a stronger immune system.
Wow, so it's like nature's giving our well-being a boost in so many ways.
Exactly like a multivitamin for our overall health.
I love that analogy.
Okay,
But it's not just about de-stressing, right?
you got it.
What about nature's ability to boost our mood and focus? The research paper talked about that too.
Oh, yeah, that's a really interesting area. The research suggests that being in nature triggers the release of serotonin.
You know, that feel-good neurotransmitter.
Exactly. And that helps explain why so many people feel happier and more content after spending time outdoors.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah,
Have there been studies specifically looking at this mood-boosting effect?
definitely. There's been some really compelling research. Some studies even suggest that the serotonin boost can help reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What kind of studies?
Well, for instance, one study found that people who walked in nature regularly, like 3 times a week for 30 minutes,
Okay.
showed significant improvements in their mood and anxiety levels.
Wow, compared to those who didn't walk in nature.
Right.
Fascinating. So nature helps us chill out, feel happier, and then on top of that, the research suggests it makes us sharper.
It's like hitting the refresh button on your brain.
I like that. And there was something called attention restoration theory,
Right. Our brains get tired from constantly processing information, especially in busy environments.
especially these days.
You know it? But natural settings offer a kind of cognitive respite.
Interesting. So instead of reaching for another cup of coffee when I'm feeling mentally drained,
Maybe step outside for a few minutes.
give my brain a break.
Exactly. Even a little bit of exposure to nature can really help with our focus and mental fatigue.
That's so cool. It's like a natural reset button for our minds.
Way healthier than caffeine overload.
Definitely. And there's research to back this up, right?
Oh, yeah. One study found that children with ADHD who took a 20-minute walk in a park
Interesting.
showed significant improvements in their attention spans.
Compared to those who walked in an urban setting.
Exactly.
Wow, nature is powerful. Okay, now, the Psychology Today article you shared,
Yes.
it delves into more emotional and spiritual benefits of nature, right?
It does. It beautifully describes nature as the purest pathway to inner peace.
I like that. So it's looking at how nature helps us reconnect with ourselves, recharge our energy, even gain a fresh perspective on our lives.
Exactly.
It also sounds like nature can act as a therapist, a life coach, and a spa, all rolled into one.
What's particularly interesting is that the article emphasizes how being in nature engages all of our senses.
Right.
The sights, the sounds, the smells, the textures.
So it's a full sensory experience.
And that sensory immersion, it seems to help us connect with something larger than ourselves.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've definitely convinced me I need to spend more time outside.
Good.
But before we get into the specifics of how to do that, I want to address something that came up in the research paper.
Okay.
It mentioned that not everyone has access to vast wilderness.
Right? Especially in cities.
Yeah. What about those of us who live in urban environments?
That's a great point, and the paper acknowledges this is a real barrier.
Okay, good.
But the research suggests that even small interactions with nature can make a difference.
So we don't need to live in a national park to reap the benefits.
Exactly. Even something as small as having a few houseplants can have a positive impact on your well-being.
So it's not all or nothing.
Not at all.
There are still ways for city dwellers to connect with nature.
Absolutely. There are pockets of nature to be found everywhere if you know where to look.
I'm intrigued. Can you give some examples of these small interactions that can make a difference?
Well, think about bringing nature indoors.
Okay.
Houseplants, as we said, are fantastic.
Right.
But even having a window with a view of greenery,
Yep. Incorporating natural elements into your decor,
like what?
or even just listening to nature sounds can bring some of those benefits into your home.
So even if we can't escape to a forest,
We can create little pockets of nature in our everyday lives.
I like that. Okay, and speaking of escaping to the forest, let's talk about forest bathing.
You mean Shinrin-yoku?
Yes, I've heard about this, but I'm curious to learn more. What exactly is it?
So, forest bathing, or Shinrin-yoku as it's known in Japanese,
Okay.
is simply the act of immersing yourself in a forest environment.
So it's more than just going for a walk in the woods.
It is. It's about slowing down, engaging your senses, and truly being present in the forest.
Interesting. So how's it different from a regular walk?
Well, with forest bathing, you're really tuning into your surroundings.
Yep.
You're noticing the sunlight filtering through the leaves, the sounds of birds chirping,
Right.
the scent of pine needles, the feel of the earth beneath your feet.
So it's about engaging all of your senses.
Exactly, and absorbing the forest atmosphere. I can see how that would be incredibly relaxing and restorative.
The research certainly supports that.
What kind of benefits are we talking about?
Well, for example, one study found that people who practice forest bathing for 2 hours showed significant decreases in their blood pressure and heart rate,
Wow.
as well as reduced levels of stress hormones.
I can practically feel my blood pressure dropping just thinking about it.
This is a powerful practice.
Okay, I'm sold. I want to try it. What do I actually do?
It's surprisingly simple. Find a quiet, wooded area where you can be free from distractions,
Okay.
and then walk slowly and mindfully, focusing on your senses.
Like we talked about.
Exactly.
Got it. So forest bathing is all about immersing ourselves in the sights, sounds, and smells of the forest.
Yes, and allowing ourselves to be fully present in that moment.
Powerful stuff. And the research shows it's not just a feel-good experience.
Right. There are tangible benefits to it.
Like reduce stress, improve mood, and even enhanced immune function.
Exactly. It's nature's medicine cabinet.
Okay, now we've talked about physically being in nature,
Right.
but what about when getting outside just isn't possible?
I see what you're saying.
Are there things we can do then?
That's where the power of visualization comes in.
Ah, so we can mentally escape to the forest,
Exactly.
even if we're stuck in the office?
Precisely, research suggests that even just visualizing yourself in a natural setting can have positive effects on your mood and stress levels.
So if I'm feeling overwhelmed at work, I can close my eyes,
You got it.
picture myself walking through a peaceful forest.
And take a few deep breaths.
Interesting.
Imagine the sights, the sounds, the smells of nature, and let that sense of calm wash over you.
It's like having a portable nature retreat in my mind.
Exactly.
I love that. And is there any science behind this, or is it just a nice idea?
Actually, there's evidence to support the effectiveness of visualization.
Really?
So while it might sound a bit woo-woo,
Right.
it can actually make a difference.
Okay, I'm willing to try it. Now, in addition to forest bathing, the research paper also mentioned mindful walking as a way to connect with nature.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
How is mindful walking different from a regular walk in the park?
With mindful walking, you bring a heightened sense of awareness to your walk.
So,
You're paying attention to the sensations of your body as you move, noticing the sights, the sounds, and the smells of your surroundings,
right.
and gently bringing your mind back to the present moment whenever it wanders.
So it's like a walking meditation, but in nature.
Exactly. And studies have shown that this practice can have a profound impact on our well-being.
I can imagine. Okay, so let's say I'm ready to try mindful walking.
Right.
Do I need any special equipment or training or anything?
Not at all. It's surprisingly simple.
Okay,
Start by finding a natural setting where you feel comfortable and safe.
okay,
It could be a park, a trail, even just a quiet street with some trees.
got it.
And then begin walking at a slow, comfortable pace and focus on the sensations of your feet on the ground.
I'm feeling my feet on the ground. What's next?
Now expand your awareness to include your other senses.
Hmm.
What do you see around you? What do you hear? What do you smell? Right. Engage all of your senses and really notice the details of your surroundings.
I see trees. I hear birds singing. I smell fresh cut grass.
Do you see how much you miss when you're just rushing around?
It's true. I do.
Mindful walking helps us slow down and appreciate the beauty that often goes unnoticed.
Okay, so we're taking it all in.
And as you walk, gently bring your attention back to the present moment whenever your mind wanders.
That's the tricky part.
It is, but don't judge yourself if your mind gets distracted. It's perfectly normal.
Good to know.
Just gently guide your attention back to your breath, your body, and your surroundings.
It sounds like a wonderful way to de-stress and reconnect with the simple joys of being alive.
It is a wonderful practice.
Okay, now we've been talking about all the amazing benefits of connecting with nature,
Right.
but the research paper also mentioned some potential barriers.
Of course there are challenges.
Yeah, let's talk about those for a minute.
It sounds good.
What are some of the things that might prevent people from accessing the benefits of nature?
Well, one of the biggest barriers, especially for people living in urban environments, is simply limited access to nature.
Right, not everyone has a forest or a park in their backyard.
Exactly.
So what are some solutions for people who don't have easy access to those vast green spaces?
Remember what we talked about earlier.
How about,
Even small interactions with nature can be beneficial.
right, like houseplants or a view of some trees?
Exactly. Bringing plants indoors, seeking out views of nature, even listening to nature sounds can make a difference.
So those little pockets of nature within our homes and cities can still have an impact.
Absolutely. And it's about getting creative with what nature is available in your environment.
I like that. So maybe there's some community gardens nearby or a rooftop garden
Exactly.
or even just a walk along a tree-lined street.
There are pockets of nature to be found even in the most densely populated areas.
Good point.
Mhm.
Okay, another barrier that the research paper mentioned was time constraints.
Oh, yeah.
People are busy.
So busy.
It can be hard to find the time to get out into nature even if they want to. I hear you.
What advice do you have for those who struggle with time constraints?
Well, it's about shifting our mindset a bit.
Uh-huh.
Instead of thinking, I need to go on a 3-hour hike to get my nature fix,
Right.
maybe it's more about taking a 5-minute walk around the block during a work break.
So it's about finding those little moments throughout the day.
Exactly. Even short bursts of nature can make a difference.
That's reassuring to hear because I definitely don't always have time for a big nature adventure.
We all have those days.
Right. So it's about making the most of the time we do have.
And being intentional about incorporating nature into our existing routines.
I like that. So instead of trying to add another item to my to-do list,
Right.
I can look for ways to infuse my current activities with a bit of nature.
Precisely.
This has been so helpful. I'm already feeling more inspired to connect with nature in my everyday life.
That's great to hear.
And we've just scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore.
I know, right?
Stay tuned for part 2 of our deep dive. We'll be back with even more insights and practical tips.
Where we'll delve deeper into how to create a nature-rich life no matter where you live or how busy your schedule is.
We'll see you then.
See you soon.
Welcome back to our exploration of nature's incredible ability to boost our well-being.
I'm ready for more.
In part 1, we uncovered how nature can reduce stress, boost our mood, and even sharpen our focus.
It was fascinating.
Now let's look at some practical strategies for adding more nature into our daily lives, even with our busy modern schedule.
Yes, I think a lot of us are wondering how to actually make this work.
You're right. It's one thing to know the benefits, but putting them into practice is key.
Exactly. So where do we start?
I think a helpful starting point is to rethink how we see nature.
Okay, how so?
Instead of seeing it as separate from our lives, something we have to escape to,
Right.
let's think about integrating it into our everyday experiences.
I like that.
Yeah.
So it's about finding those little pockets of nature that already exist?
Exactly. And being more mindful about how we can invite nature into our homes, our workplaces, our commutes.
Okay, I'm listening.
So let's start with our homes. How can we create living spaces that are more connected to the natural world?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is houseplants.
Houseplants are a fantastic way to bring a touch of the outdoors in.
They're really popular these days.
And for good reason, studies show that having plants in your home can actually reduce stress, improve air quality, and even boost your mood.
So it's not just about aesthetics.
Not at all. There are genuine psychological and physiological benefits.
It makes you wonder if we've lost touch with our connection to nature in our modern world.
It's an interesting thought. We've become so used to artificial environments
Right.
that we forget the impact nature can have.
But bringing plants into our homes is a simple way to restore that connection.
Exactly. And you don't need to turn your home into a jungle.
That's good to hear because I don't have a green thumb.
Even a few plants can make a difference.
Okay, so what tips do you have for people like me who aren't plant experts?
One thing to consider is the lighting in your space.
Okay,
Different plants need different amounts of light.
makes sense.
Do a little research to choose plants that will thrive in your home.
That's a good point. I've definitely made that mistake before.
We've all been there. Another tip is to consider the overall look you're going for.
Right, like what kind of vibe do I want to create?
Do you want a calming oasis with lots of leafy greens, or a bright space with colorful flowers?
You've inspired me to rethink my plant collection.
Wonderful. Now, beyond plants, you can also incorporate natural materials into your decor.
Okay, like what kind of materials?
Think about using wood stone bamboo.
I love natural textures and materials. They add so much warmth to a space.
Absolutely. They bring a touch of the outdoors in and create a more harmonious environment.
And what about artwork?
Nature-inspired artwork is another great option.
Right, like landscapes or botanical prints?
Exactly. Photographs, paintings, even textiles with nature motifs can infuse your home with the beauty of the natural world.
I love that. Now let's shift gears and talk about the workplace.
Okay.
Many of us spend a lot of time at work, so it's important to create an environment that supports our well-being.
Definitely. But most workplaces aren't exactly designed with nature in mind.
True. So what can we do about that?
Even within those limitations, we can find ways to bring nature into our workdays.
Give us some examples.
If your company allows it, a desk plant is a great place to start.
Right, just a small succulent or something.
Even something small can brighten your space and make you feel more connected to nature.
I find I'm more productive when I have a plant on my desk.
It's amazing how such a small addition can have such a positive impact.
It really is. What if you can't have plants at your desk?
Maybe you could advocate for some plants in shared spaces.
That's a good idea. Or what about bringing in a nature calendar or a photo of your favorite outdoor spot?
Those are great ideas. Even those subtle touches can make a difference.
What about those of us who work from home?
That's a great question. If possible, set up your workspace near a window with a view of nature.
I'm lucky enough to have that in my home office, and I find it really helps me focus.
It's amazing how even a glimpse of trees or the sky can be restorative.
It's like nature provides a sense of calm and perspective.
And if you don't have a window with a view, you can create a virtual one with a nature-inspired screensaver.
Or even just a framed photograph.
Exactly. Okay, now let's talk about daily routines.
Because a lot of people are probably thinking, I'm already so busy, how can I fit nature in?
It's not about adding more tasks to your to-do list.
That's good to hear.
It's about finding those little moments and making them more nature-rich.
Like what?
Instead of eating lunch at your desk, could you step outside and eat in a park?
Oh, that's a good idea. A quick 10-minute walk and a change of scenery.
Exactly. You don't need a huge time commitment.
And I bet it would make me more productive in the afternoon.
Even a few minutes of fresh air and sunshine can boost your mood and energy.
Okay, so lunch breaks are a great opportunity. What else?
Think about your commute. Could you walk or bike to work?
Not everyone can do that,
Yeah.
but it's a great idea.
Or if you take public transport, get off a stop early and walk the rest of the way.
I often feel stressed during my commute, so a walk would be a great way to de-stress before work.
It's a great way to start the day on a positive note.
And get some exercise, too.
Multitasking at its best. Another simple way to connect with nature is through our senses.
Our senses.
Pay attention to those little moments throughout the day.
Like what?
The feel of the sun on your skin, the sound of birds singing, the scent of fresh-cut grass, even just the sight of a tree.
It's true, we often take those things for granted.
We rush through our days without really noticing.
Guilty as charged.
But when we slow down and pay attention, nature is all around us.
Even in the city.
Exactly. It's about shifting our perspective and opening ourselves up to the wonder that's already there.
I love that. Now, I know we focused on the positive, but we need to address another potential barrier.
What's that?
Weather.
Ah, yes. Depending on where you live, there might be times of year when being outside just isn't possible.
Right, like during a blizzard or a heat wave. It's tough to get motivated to go outside when it's like that.
But even when the weather isn't cooperating, you can bring those benefits of nature indoors.
So we create our own little indoor retreats.
You got it. Set up a cozy reading nook with natural light and a comfy chair.
Or a meditation space with candles and nature sounds.
It's about finding what works for you and being creative.
I love that. It's all about making nature part of our lives in a way that feels good.
Exactly.
Welcome back to the deep dive. In the last two parts, we explored how nature can benefit our well-being. And we talked about practical ways to bring more nature into our lives.
It's been a great conversation so far.
It has. In this final part, I'm excited to hear about some more unique and maybe even unexpected ways to connect with nature.
You got it, even if you live in a city or have a super busy schedule.
Okay, I'm all ears. What do you have for us?
Well, let's start with something called nature journaling.
Nature journaling. What's that?
It's a really simple but powerful activity. You take a notebook and a pen out into nature and just record your observations, thoughts, and feelings.
So it's like a diary, but for our nature experiences.
Exactly. It's about slowing down, paying attention to the details, and capturing those moments in word sketches or even poetry.
I love that. It sounds like a great way to practice mindfulness and really appreciate the beauty around us.
It is. Do you have any tips for beginners?
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who's new to nature journaling?
Well, remember, it's not about being an artist or a writer.
Okay, good, because I'm not either of those.
It's about connecting with nature on a deeper level and expressing your own unique perspective.
I like that. So just let it flow.
Find a spot that inspires you and let your senses be your guide.
What if someone's not comfortable with writing or drawing?
That's okay too. There are other ways to be creative in nature.
Like what?
Nature photography is a fantastic option.
Oh, I love taking pictures.
You don't even need a fancy camera.
Yeah.
Your smartphone will work just fine.
Perfect, because that's all I have.
It's a great way to train your eye to see the beauty that's all around us.
I'm always amazed by what I capture with my phone.
Nature is full of surprises. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about connecting with nature through movement.
Okay, we talked about mindful walking earlier,
Right.
but are there other ways to combine movement and nature?
Definitely. Things like yoga and Tai Chi are great for that.
I love doing yoga outside.
Me too. The
Yeah.
fresh air, the sounds of nature, it adds a whole other dimension to the experience.
It's so grounding and peaceful,
It's like nature becomes your yoga studio.
and it doesn't have to be yoga or Tai Chi.
Right. You could go for a bike ride, a swim in a lake, even just run through a park.
It's all about finding ways to move our bodies and be in nature at the same time.
Exactly. A celebration of our inner and outer landscapes.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to touch on something we haven't really talked about,
What's that?
the social aspect of nature.
Oh, that's a great point. Connecting with nature isn't just about individual well-being.
Right, it can also be about community and relationships.
It's about recognizing that we're all connected.
So how do we bring that social element into our nature experiences?
Think about joining a hiking group or a gardening club, or even just inviting friends or family for a picnic in the park.
I love that sharing those experiences with others makes them even better.
Exactly. And research shows that spending time in nature with others can boost our mood, reduce stress, and increase feelings of connection.
So it's good for our relationships and our communities.
It's a win-win for everyone.
This has been such an insightful and inspiring conversation. I'm leaving with a renewed appreciation for nature and so many ideas for how to connect with it more.
That's wonderful to hear. Remember, even small steps can lead to big changes.
So true. To all our listeners out there, what's one small step you can take today to connect with nature?
Maybe it's taking a walk, adding a plant to your home, or just pausing to appreciate the beauty around you.
Every little effort makes a difference.
Embrace the power of nature.
And see how it transforms your life. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of nature's healing power.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you feel inspired to reconnect with the natural world and experience all the incredible benefits it offers.
Until next time.
Keep exploring and embracing the wonders of nature